Hello, welcome, and namaste. Today we are meeting with Kelvin. I know Kelvin for more than a year. We met in Twitter. We have done many spaces together. Kelvin lives in Nigeria. He has done multiple jobs, but now he has his own business and he's running one initiative of Ship Less JS, JavaScript. So with that, I want to hand over mic to Kelvin. Kelvin, please tell about yourself, and then if you can give us a glimpse of how your typical day and week look like.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Vinod, for having me here. My name is Kelvin. I am a web developer out of Nigeria. I have been doing web development professionally since 2018, and I have done different types of software development, but I settled for building stuff with JavaScript because I really like the beauty of the language. So I am currently also the lead maintainer of a wonderful framework for building web software with JavaScript. I also initiated a stack based on sales called the boring JavaScript stack because I want the JavaScript ecosystem to focus more on building products than flexing what's trendy. I like like said before, I run my own business now, the Salescast company. I've started way over like in 2020 when I built salesguys.com. So now I'm working on my third project called Hackfish, which is my own take on how to manage invoices as a creator myself. So a typical day for me, it depends. So like I jokingly said, I left my 9 to 5 to work 24 hours. My day can start literally anytime I want it to start. But sometimes I'm so enthusiastic about the work, I can't wait to get out of bed. So by maybe 7 or sometimes 4 a.m., I'm awake working on something. So I circle between working on my project, Hackfish, because we're going to launch on March 14th, like to the beta users, like those that sign up for the waitlist. Then I also work on open source because, of course, I am the lead maintainer of sales. I look at issues, try to do some triaging or work with production and also the boring stack. If so, because I'm building Hackfish with the boring stack, if there's anything that I see that is lacking in the framework or I made in Hackfish, I just extract and upload it to like the framework so everyone else can have it. I also run a YouTube channel. So in a week, give or take, I might have one episode to shoot with a guest. It's called TKYT, which is Teach Kevin Your Thing. So I would record the sessions. Then, if the week I have to, because the sessions go live every Monday. So I like to edit on the Monday so I could watch. I always watch the video from start to finish. I don't fast forward or whatever. I want to see everything because I like to be very detailed on the edits, and I also learn from these sessions. Rewatching them really is good for me. And I get to upload it and of course announce it. And I schedule tweets as well because I like to teach everything I know. I like to share. So Twitter is also one avenue to do that. And so yeah, that's mostly it. What I do like for the entire day. And of course, meetings always pop up. And I do consultations as well. So I had to talk with clients and also give back them like feedback is saying. Yeah, that's basically what I do in a day. Yeah.
I notice you do a lot of things,
Yeah.
right? Your business, your repositories, your open source, your YouTube and Twitter. So, how do you manage your time? Do you follow any kind of methods, or how do you do that?
Yeah. So I don't have a fixed methodology. There's no time management hack. It's just I have it. So I use Raycast. So there's this nice feature on Raycast called My Schedule. So I think it's an add-on Raycast. I don't know. So what it does is reads from my Apple Calendar, and I don't really use the Apple Calendar itself. I use Hey Calendar from Basecamp or 37 Signals,
Yeah.
but I actually connected that to be like an external source to Apple Calendar. So when I just open my laptop first in the morning, I first check my calendar, what's up. So I open up Raycast and type MS, which is the shortcut I place to get me my schedule. So I see what I need to do. I also have a reminder on. I also check if there are anything I need to do as well. Then what is the big umbrella of everything I do while I manage my work is on Basecamp. I'm a big fan of Basecamp. So Basecamp is it's a take of a project management tool plus Slack plus calendar or anything you need to run like a project out of 37 signals. I've been using it for since 2020. I really love the software. So I check what's on Basecamp. So right now, since I'm working on Hackfish, if I say like my first wave of work will be on Hackfish features, for example, yesterday I shipped the marketing page. I'll go on Basecamp and set the task I need to do. So I do that and I just focus and finish up. So I maybe do an hour time block or whatnot. Then once I'm done, then I move to the next thing that is of importance. So every time I'm working, I'm always asking myself, what? Because the thing is, there's gonna be a lot of things to do because time is finite. So you need to figure out what is the thing
Mhm.
that will move the needle. So that I always ask myself, what's the thing that I need to do now that's gonna move the needle? Then I do that. Once I finish, so mine is start and finish, not like complete, but make progress and have okay, this is finished for today. Then I go on to the next things. For example, days that I have to upload a video, I start the day mostly with the edit of the video. So I'm gonna watch the entire 1 hour sessions, do the edits, then upload, and that's finished. But while it's uploading, I could like, okay, let me check emails and see what's up, who needs my attention. Let me check Discord because I run a community as well. I run two communities actually, the Salescast community and African indie hackers as well. I check what's up, check Twitter DMs. I actually have a time to check those channels because they are distractions. They are not good for deep work. So on Apple's reminder, I set the time to check Telegram, Twitter, Discord at about 3:30 p.m. my time. Then emails is I check emails twice, 12 p.m. noon and also 5 in the evening because those are distractions. So I need to set that time to go check
Mhm.
them. And I don't get notifications on my phone by choice. So I need to consciously go check because I find notifications distracting. So that's just it. I try to focus on one thing, finish, then go to the next, and like that. So there's no structure, just what's important for me right now based on what's happening. So it's very contextual. It's not robotic. Sometimes I'll just start the day with doing nothing than seeing a movie because I don't want to work right now. I want to work later. So yeah.
You're saying that no structure,
Hmm.
but this is a solid structure. You don't know. You probably don't know how people are living their life, right?
Hmm.
Comparatively. And I guess you have solid discipline around different things. It's not easy to just not look for notification or whatever spaces that are going on or whatever
Hmm.
YouTube shorts that are going on.
Yeah.
Or when you're working on one thing, there are five other ideas that comes,
Hmm.
and then it's not easy to stick with what you're doing
Yeah.
and finish it. So somehow, so I don't know, you always been like that or you change at some point or what?
I was worse than how I am now because before now, I think now I am more active on social media than I was before, like a couple of years ago. I I don't like social media because I understand what it does to deep work. And
Mhm.
when you study people, the people that do great work, you find that at the point they don't like social media. So, for example, Christopher Nolan, who is like someone I am obsessed with right now because of the kind of movies he makes. Christopher Nolan
Uh-huh.
don't have a mobile phone. He's not on the internet, but he's one of the celebrated directors of our time. And he does that because he knows that you cannot do work that really matters when you're too much in the matrix, like I call it. So I like to
Mm.
unplug as much as possible. So before now, I had fewer social media accounts and I was active on fewer places. Now I have to be active on Twitter because Twitter is more like a business for me now. And of course, I run communities on Discord and emails, like I said. So before I was guilty of always checking emails, but I read the book by Tim Ferriss, and he
Mhm.
mentioned to set out time blocks to check your emails. And I'm no stranger to the idea because I had the idea from somewhere else where like most times people, the only way to deal with distraction is if you set time to be distracted. Because I know people will be like, anytime I'm trying to do something, something else always come up. For me, I just set out time to be distracted, which are the times I said, okay, by 12, I'm going to check my email. Checking email is a distraction.
Right.
But since I've set the time to check it, my mind can focus now and do the task at hand because it's not yet 12. So when it's 12, I go check my email and get distracted. When it's the time I set for Twitter, I go check Twitter and get distracted. So setting out time for distractions, remove it from the back of your mind to, oh, what am I missing out or something? No. You can always get to it later. So that's been it for me. If I have my way, at a certain point, I don't want social media because I feel like it gives us too much dopamine that are not real and it creates this symbiotic relationship that shouldn't exist. You need to be off as much as possible so you could do deep work. Carl Newport will say social media and all these notifications, they just get in the way of deep work.
100%. 100%. And the problem is, I guess, it take away your attention, your time, your
Yeah.
energy. Is still people do it
Yes.
because that require them some kind of discipline and also some kind of futuristic direction,
Mhm.
right? So I want to jump into that now. So you do have that direction. I want to ask two-part questions. Number one, what is the future direction for you
Mhm.
and how are you setting that?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, the future direction is to be profitable or to make my businesses profitable. So since 2020, I have started a couple of products that have a lot of potential. They just need me to work on it because I have to say that nothing works, you work. All right. So they need my complete attention to grow. So I've been distracted by having a 9 to 5 and trying to like conform to the system that you need a 9 to 5, you don't have to be sustainable and all that jazz. Right now, I am focused on bringing times 10 of the energy I gave in my jobs to work for myself. So I want to make a comeback with SailsJs.com, which is my own Netflix for full stack JavaScript developers. Then Guppy, which was a tool I built for JavaScript devs, backend JavaScript devs. I want to revive that, make it way more profitable than it was when I launched 1.0. Then the project I'm working on right now is Hackfish, which is I have been using it to send invoices myself, like since I secretly launched it without announcing it to anybody. I want it to be like the place where creators do invoices. Like myself, I have clients, I have
Mhm.
sponsors of TKYT. So I just do everything from Hackfish. So I want to make those to be in a month, probably making like for a starter now, before I get to my $1.2 million a year goal, to get like $10,000 a year from all this, including my sponsorships and also my consulting, which is turning out to be lucrative because I have a very unique combination of skill sets. That's it. So those that permutation makes it a little bit valuable for a different set of people. So I want to do that. So that's like my future, like the next 5 years, is to grow these businesses to make sure I never ever need a 9 to 5 because that has always been the goal for me because I like working for myself.
Mhm.
I like working for my own terms on my own on the things that I care about because I find that I do my best work when I deeply care about it and not just trying to work for a paycheck. So yeah, I want to grow my open source project, the Boring Stack, to make it the most enticing offering for anyone that want to build full stack products on JavaScript because it's really that good and I want more people to know it. Yeah, so that's the vision. Of course, make sales really great again. Like, yeah, sales
Mhm.
should be synonymous to like Rails and Lava. It is, but the JS ecosystem don't just know it yet, and that's my job to make sure they know it. Yeah,
Wow, you do have a drive, you do have passion, and you do believe in those products. So I'm pretty confident that you will get there.
thank you.
And also, you're building such a good audience, the size and the quality that which will help you get there.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
So let's dive into your transition from working a 9 to 5 job to starting your own business. So, what was the thought process there, and how did you do it?
Yeah. So the thought process is this is what it's been. I've always had this thought. I've always wanted to do this, but because of the need to want stability, I conform, and I was like, one day I'm gonna. All right. So I've done a couple of jobs. I've been at a couple of companies, but at the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to do this, work on the sales cast company full time, build products for people that they'll use, and they'll reward me by paying for it. But I kept getting the next job and the next job just to have like a safety cushion in terms of money. All right, because
Mm.
bills have to be paid. So at my last job, a couple of weeks before I was laid off, I've already resigned in my mind because I wasn't motivated. I dreaded Mondays, right? When it's Monday, when it's the weekend, I'm happy. But when it's Monday, I'm like, oh
Right.
yeah, see, back to this. Right. So when I was called like for the layoff, I was happy really internally. I didn't show it because why not? You gotta be like gloomy. Oh, I'm being fired. But I was happy because I was like, since I couldn't take the step myself because I was being a coward in that instance, life took the step for me and I just launched for it. And I was like, this is it. No more seeking 9 to 5s. If I can't earn twice as what I was earning per month from this job, doing my own thing, there's something is definitely wrong because I do know that I've been able to build myself to such capacity that I shouldn't need a job
Mhm.
to pay the bills. And it's actually working, right? It was hard a couple of months, right? Sometimes you'll be like, oh, you should just go apply for something else. But even friends were like, just take something part time. I was like, no, because I believe in burning bridges. So a famous story that I learned about was this general where they were going to attack an
Yeah.
enemy, and as soon as the soldiers stepped off the ship, it burnt all the boats, all the ships. And his thought process was that if we don't win, there's no going back. So we just have to win. And they ended up winning that battle. So that's how it is for me when I do this sort of thing. And that's why I announced it on Twitter so it commits me because there's no shaking out of it. It either works or it works. There's no failure. It's not an option here. So I doubled down, started working very long hours, started taking steps. I started leveraging the what I've built over the years, and it's paying off slowly, but it's so promising because like I've had TKYT deals, I've had consulting gigs, and I'm working on a secret project right now, which is going to be my most ambitious thing ever. And it's going to take me the entire year to actually deliver on it, but it's going to be in phases. But if I do it how I have it in my mind, it should be able to just skyrocket my income and also have a lot of side effects that I'm going to like because I don't like doing something that has one output. I think life is too short to do that. So when I'm going to take a step, I want 2 or 3 or 4 or multiple outputs from just one action. So I make sure that all
Mhm.
everything I do should have more outputs. So I really tailored everything just like that. For example, the boring stack, which was the open source project I built, it has an output to let me build Hackfish. It also have an output to let me empower other JavaScript developers to build their own products on JavaScript. And it also has an output for me to create courses on salescast.com about it. So you see 3 outputs. And
Right.
it is not a coincidence, it's all planned. And that's just how I like to operate.
You face your eyes all light up when you was talking about that secret project. Yeah. Wish you all the best for that. When you started to start your business, initially it's typically hard to get some gigs and
Mhm.
consulting opportunities. Was it difficult for you, or how did you to approach that?
Yeah, it is as always because so the thing is like my unique skill set is first of all, I am like a sales expert because I've been using the framework for what 2018 up to this point, and I'm now the lead maintainer. So I have years of experience and context. So that makes me very enticing for companies who want to do
Mhm.
something with sales, maybe upgrade the sales version or just need consulting advice. And
Right.
it's a high profile role, so it actually pays a lot because they need me. So I'm coming in the capacity of a consultant, not like a freelancer. because of how I know the projects. So sometimes these people find me most of the times. So the one app like I want to be an authority on is JavaScript performance by shipping less JavaScript. Because I feel like with good power comes good responsibility. JavaScript is good, but you don't have to ship what you don't need to your users, because when it gets to them, whatever devices they are on, get to pay the cost of running your JavaScript. So when it's not necessary, don't share it. So I thought it was common knowledge until I started giving conference talks called "Do you really need all that JavaScript?" And people kept asking questions. I was like, okay, this isn't commonplace after all. So why don't I just do like a consulting service where I could go lecture the dev teams in companies, like maybe they're offsite or what. I'm actually have a book that I want to write, but still the same topic, shiplet JavaScript, but it's going to be an ever living book on techniques that lets you just shiplet JavaScript in different scenarios. But so the consulting again, like I said, I don't like to have one output. Consulting is going to, of course, pay the bills and also let me learn how different people and their different reasons for shipping in JavaScript you're shipping. And so that one hasn't really gotten any client. I only had one free assessment session, which was really insightful because I get to say, okay, these are the things they were doing wrong. But I haven't had like a paid client. So right now the consulting is mostly sales consulting or full stack JavaScript consulting that I get clients on. And most times they reach out to me. Maybe they see me on like the sales website, or they just do a quick Google search and maybe they watch a course on like salescast.com and they get to me. Yeah.
One thing that I noticed that you have done many technology and framework. I think last year you was posting a lot about Vue,
Hmm.
and you're very good with backend. You've done so many other things, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm noticing is that you double down on Sail
Mhm.
and JavaScript, and with a philosophy there.
Yeah.
So you're pitching for 100 different things. You figure that Sail is your niche, where you was able to get the gigs and business and all.
Mhm.
So I guess I wanted to highlight that as a message that you don't have to go after 10 different things. You can build yourself in one thing, in this case, sale,
Mhm.
and get really good at it so that people recognize you as an expert, and then you get more advanced level of gigs and projects.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. You need to find a place to plant your feet, like I call it, because good teams take time and you want to
Mhm.
play the long term game. I like playing the long term game, or as Carl Newport will call it, slow productivity. So I've literally been doing sales for 6 years now. And when I started, I was advised that I was wasting my time. The tech is outdated. But like I tweeted a couple of hours ago before this podcast, I was like, sales is 2024 and sales is still paying the bill. All right. My first $50,000 on web dev was gotten from sales. And it blew my mind how what was seen as unpopular was still in demand, that someone was able to, would I want to pay $50,000 for it. Right. So yeah, just find something you like that makes your eye lit up. Like it's been 6 years old. Anytime I have to talk about sales, I still get that euphoria because it's something I'm really crazy about, and I can stay on something. Most time people get bored for the wrong reason. When you get bored, it doesn't mean you have to move from a particular thing you're doing. You just need to find out other ways of doing the same thing. So I can't get bored
Mhm.
of doing sales because I found different ways to combine it. So because of sales, I found the boring stack. Because of the boring stack, I am doing something else. So the same is, so it started with JavaScript, then sales, then everything else is just revolving around the same. But there are different ways to solve. So I'm more excited about the problems I'm solving than trying to switch to a new technology, because at a certain point, the tech is always good. You just need to find different ways to keep yourself excited about it. And for me, it's by building solutions that people need around the one thing. So there's only one thing for me, which is sales. And then I just have different ways to combine sales. And that's why I can never get bored up with it. Yeah.
All right. One more thing.
Okay.
So how I know you got into this job and then you left that job, but many people are trying to get to their first job,
Mhm.
right? How did you get your first job? And then what happened?
Yeah. So my first job was in 2018. It was a front end job. It was what got me into Vue, and one of the reasons why I like Vue because of how it was really good for me back then. So I was literally reached out to by a young startup CEO back then who wanted like a front end hire, and he knew me back in school, and he knew that okay, I was doing web dev. So when his startup was hiring, he reached out to me. All right. And at the time, I've already made my famous decision, which I wrote about, I blogged about, of not continuing school because I felt like it was a waste of my time because of what I wanted to do. So I burnt that
Mhm.
bridge as usual. I'm good at burning those bridges. And then that night, I couldn't sleep because I was like, okay, you just made the greatest wrong decision of your life. But I was like, we'll see. Then I kept just learning and just trying to grow myself. It was the time of the new Boston. I don't know if it was like this YouTube channel where this guy just teaches web dev, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So I was learning that. I was using Linda as well before LinkedIn got them,
Mhm.
and I just
Mhm.
kept
Mhm.
learning and learning. And then the opportunity came. So my mantra is just be prepared so that when the opportunity comes, you can grab it like very quickly. So I was getting ready. So I did like an on-call interview. So on the call, when you called me, that was where I did like, the mock interview or like the real deal. We just asked a couple of questions, and then that was it. Then I got access to Git. I got access to the project. I did not know Vue. I had to learn Vue on the job. I have never used Git before at the time. I had to learn it. Everything felt like rocket science, but I just kept at it. And with the chaos and confusion, I kept pushing through until I'm here. Yeah. So that's how I got my first job.
And was that a Nigerian company or US company?
It was a Nigerian company. Yeah, yeah. I think they were VC funded at the time. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm assuming when you was learning and then when you went into this job, you was like how you was explaining focus and discipline and consistency and everything.
Mhm.
You was like that back then too.
Yeah, I've always been like this. Sadly, I didn't have a very exciting childhood because I was always buried in one book or the other. I've always known what I wanted. I've always known I wanted to do stuff. In fact, at a very young age, I wrote 1,001 things I want to do before I die. And on top of the list, back then I was like maybe 13 or so. I wrote starting my own company. And years
Hmm.
later, I get to go back every couple of years. I go back to the list. I'll be like, wow, I have done this. I did so before I knew anything about creating open source or whatever. I wrote that I was going to create my own technology that I would use and people would use. So when I saw that I've done it, I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting. So I've always been like this. I've always been like
Yeah.
self-driven. So back then in school, I studied a lot of programming languages that wasn't even taught. I was doing C plus. I was teaching myself Python and all that stuff. So I've always wanted to like just because to me programming is problem solving, and I love solving problems. So I've always been like that. So the same thing I took to the job, my first job, and I quickly learned a lot. I started blogging on Medium on problems I was solving, and that was like my first entry into writing technical articles. And yeah, so that's it.
I do wanted to know what was your thought process behind leaving the college? Something happened or what?
I was a very good student, right? So the thing is, I have a lots of mantras. So one of them is I've mentioned a couple is I cannot do something I don't believe in. So at a certain point, I didn't believe the whole idea of getting a paper and how significant it was for the life that I wanted. So I sat down, I had a thought. I was like, most times people think that what to worry about is the bad, but I think what you should worry about are the good things because those good things are the enemy of the great. And I want great. Getting a certificate is good. Everybody I know have it. In fact, everybody wants to have it. But I want
Mhm.
something great. I want to be able to do something. for my life. I want to build businesses. I want to solve problems. And what the school was offered wasn't it, because I've seen the output of every person that have gone through before me. I am big on outputs because I think those are just the only way to know what's up. So I treat life as a program: input, process, output. So if the input you're putting in doesn't give you the output you want, then change your inputs. So the input of school wasn't actually giving people the output that I wanted. So I'll be like, yeah, okay, we're not going to do this. I think I know enough to learn on my own to be able to get the life I wanted, because school wasn't teaching you what's. So I read this book back in school. What they won't teach you in school changed my mind. I'm a bookworm. I read a lot. So there are a lot of things school won't teach you that real life needs. For example, school won't teach you communication, like how to talk to people, or negotiation, or persuasion. Those are the skills you need in real life. School won't teach you
Yep.
that. So I don't know why I would do that. So I rather just go learn from people who can teach me that. So like I read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People twice in a single day because I was that hungry
Mm.
to learn. And yeah, I was like, you know what? I've always been like a free thinker. I believe that we are capable of making our choices. Most people think that they need someone's opinion or thumbs up for them to do anything. Me, I've always gone the other direction. The entire world can be against me, but if I believe in a thing, I forge ahead regardless, because I go what my gut says. Because so far it hasn't led me wrong. And anytime I go against it, I always regret it. So I go what my gut says, whether it's looking rosy or not, I just follow it, because I have developed an intuition over the years by studying good people, thinking and reflecting. And that was the purpose also. Like, school is not going to give me this. And that was a bet. It could have gone south and I would have regretted it for the rest of my life, but it did not. Because, and the thing is, when you make a decision like that, you don't just say you're not going to go to school and then you rest on your laurels and you be like, oh, yeah. My thought is that I'm not going to go to school, but I will work so hard that I will school anyone that went to school. That was it.
Mhm.
So I had to do more than everybody else that was relying on the school system for your life. And it worked out well. It is still working out well.
All right, I'm going to change the topic to a lighter one.
No,
Have you done DSA?
no, I don't. I tried a couple of times. It didn't work out for me because I like to learn stuff that I can apply. If I can't apply it, it doesn't make sense. So I have tried. I do data structures all the time because, for example, we all use arrays as a data structure. So
Mhm.
I do data structures. I do algorithms. Like anytime you write a business logic, that's an algorithm. So it's good to study those stuff, especially for job interview. But I'm not taking any. But at certain points, I read programming books and everything. But to be like, okay, let me practice DSA. I just like practicing it by writing products that people will pay for. It just validates that I can write good code.
Eh, When you grow up your company and then you start hiring people, will you interview them on a DSA or
No,
not?
no, never. I don't believe in that stuff. I don't believe it shows whether you're a great engineer or not. It's just like memorizing things in a book in school. It just show that you memorize things in a book in school. But I like to see how you think in real world problems. Yeah.
I posted, I think last week or something. I was just thinking, and then I recall that I probably have taken 500 interviews in my life. I have never asked a single DSA question. That was funny and powerful as well.
Yeah.
That I never done it. So many companies that I have worked for.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's one of the stanza of our industry. Maybe I don't know, for certain kind of job, maybe it applies. I'm an applications developer. I'm not a system programmer, so maybe it applies to them more. For me, I just build on the web and UI stuff. It's not really that. But I also build soft stuff for programmers as well, but I've never needed it so far. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I think the company like Google, where their entire search logic and display depends
Yeah.
highly on the algorithm, for them it does make
Mhm.
sense. Amazon too, how they display, like they have one of the powerful search, which goes by tag and everything. I think it makes sense for them,
Yeah.
but for whatever company that I have worked, it was not rocket science for us.
Hmm.
Like we didn't do that complicated software.
Yeah. And I think the more problem you solve, the more. So there are things you just have to. So there are known unknowns and there are unknown unknowns, right? So you just have to be aware of, of certain things. Okay, you just have to be aware of. Okay, these are like the linked list. Like I saw a question by a friend of mine. Have you ever implemented a linked list before? I said nope, I haven't. I don't even know why I would need one, but I'm aware of. Okay, this is what a linked list is. Okay, that's cool. Then so you just be aware of it. Just read broad when you have spare time, just not to like so that you don't have too many unknown unknowns. Just be aware of it, but just focus on the things that you do in your day job. So if you are writing those kind of, if you're solving those kind of problems in your day job, you would definitely have to learn it because you're solving it, right? But yeah.
One of the question that I love the most is I ask this question in my interviews,
Mhm,
that your application was working perfectly fine yesterday and you come back office and it's not working
mhm,
and it's production app. What would you do? What would be your steps to find where the problem is and how, just the thought process, right? I'm not even asking syntax, I'm not asking anything
yeah.
else. And just seeing how people think and how they go at different places. Some people start with server, some people will start with the database, some people start with log file. It's amazing.
Mhm,
Like it gives you the entire glimpse of how this person is thinking
yeah,
in difficult situations. Yeah.
definitely.
So I wanted to jump into more fun topic
Okay.
about first. I'm so proud of you that you found time to go to swimming pool and that you did your swimming.
Yes.
So you're working so many hours, you're doing so many different things. How do you take rest and how do you keep energized yourself?
Hmm.
So I wanted to ask you that, and then we will talk about your habit of shipping on Friday. But let's start with this one.
Yeah. So the thing is, I don't really work all the time, right? But it depends on how the intensity of or the tasks I need to do. There are days where you know what I need to do this today, right? There are days where I just lazy around. I watch movies on Netflix, or
Mm.
so I play the piano. And one of my binge is to watch piano videos on YouTube. Or now that I'm obsessed with film scoring, I just watch like someone talking about Hans Zimmer's score or something. So I have time to do all of that. And those are the
Oh,
times where I just like my downtime. All right. Or I listen to a podcast. I listen to a ton of founders podcasts and how to take over the world podcast as well. Then on the weekends, that's where I'm not gonna lie to you that sometimes I don't go out because I just do not want to step out of the house. But when I do, I go for a swim for like maybe a couple of hours, or maybe go to the cinema, not for the movie, but just sit there, see people because I'm always indoors for sometimes I can be indoors for 2, 3 weeks straight without going out. Not healthy, but I just I'm just into my work and all that. But when I'm not working, I haven't read a physical book for a while. So I started one.
mhm.
Mine is the master, but I had to stop because I needed to finish Hackfish, and it's like a bulky book. So I'm going to resume again after the lunch. But I'm always reading something online and stuff. So I know people don't say reading is a downtime, but for me, reading is actually good because I like reading a great deal. Movies, swimming when I can, and reading a book, which is
Yeah.
not supposed to be something you do to relax, but it is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes you to a different world, like all
Yeah.
your imagination.
Yeah.
So it's definitely. How about girlfriend and wife? I know you're single, but I'm
Yeah.
asking
Okay.
about girlfriend. What's your plan for
Yeah,
marriage?
definitely. I do want to get married. Maybe like in the next year or two. Right? Yeah. Picture. I'm looking forward to that. It's something that is on my something I really want to get to because that's growing a family and be like a husband and a dad. I do want a girl as a first child for some reason. I don't know. But I already thought about all of that. So yeah, it's gonna happen really soon. Yeah. And maybe I would invite
So
you to
you
Nigeria to attend the wedding. Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That will be my reason to visit that.
Yeah.
Visit there. So do you have a girlfriend then?
Yes, I do have a girlfriend.
Okay, okay, okay. I want to see you married and have kids
Hmm.
and then do a Friday night deployment.
Wow. I, I I don't know. I feel like all my deployments have gone really good for me because I started to de-risk myself. So the chances of my deployment going bad for how I build my
Mm,
stuff, I don't know. It's pretty slow. Like it's very low because if I deploy my app to render, if something goes bad, which they've not gone bad for since I've been deploying on Fridays,
right.
I could just roll it back and be like, okay, that didn't work. So it's very low risk. So it gives me because I deploy every time I build something. So like I've actually deployed Hackfish again today. So anytime, so I like continuous deployment. So anytime I make a new feature, I'm literally releasing it to production. There's no schedule of like days or weeks or whatever. I just deploy anytime I work on something and it needs to go out, I just deploy it. So it sometimes it happens to be on a Friday. All right, it's fine. So if it doesn't work, I don't go out most of the days anyway. So I'll fix it. My weekend will be on making sure that work, or I'll just take the easy way out and roll
Yeah.
it back.
For me, the biggest change happened when I became a manager. And then I had a responsibility over my stakeholder as well as my team. And I really hated asking my team to work Saturday or Sunday because something have gone wrong.
So yeah.
And that's when I started changing. And then we came up with the rule that no deployment on Friday. So if the Thursday is the cutoff, so if something go wrong, you have Friday to fix it.
Mhm,
But what has happened with us, if we deployed something on Friday, and then first, it's a long night,
mhm,
and then second, we found something or customer found something on Saturday or Sunday, and then we have to pull the team to fix it. So I think I started changing when I became the manager and I had the responsibility over my team members.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But if something go wrong, I probably want to fix it. So I don't know. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so maybe when I have employees, I would want them to deploy on the weekend. So yeah, I think that's fair. So for
Mm.
me, it's all on me, so I can deploy whenever. I could literally be deploying something right now as we're on this call. But yeah, so definitely it does make sense because of to set like a culture so that things don't go bad. Yeah.
You spoke you love books and then you listen to Founder Podcast. I would love to ask you if you have any recommendation on books and podcast.
Yeah. So on books, a couple comes to mind, but the one that always stands out if you want to do great work, because I believe in studying people. I think success is predictable and you can learn so much from the life of people that have been successful. So I recommend Robert Greene's Mastery. I've read the book 3 times. I'm going to read it again. It has the story of people that have done great work, and it's just the author is just a distinguished writer. So he has this way of telling stories and drawing lessons from it. So please read it. It's a bulky one, but don't be deterred. Read it for as long as you want. Mastery by Robert Greene. Very important. For people who want to learn the art of persuasion, also another book from Robert Greene, The Art of Seduction, is an awesome book as well. So you should read those two books. So let me make it third because third is my favorite number. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Awesome book
Okay.
too. Yeah, those three books. Because the mind is very important for you to nurture. So what goes on in your mind affects everything else around you. So you need to like learn about it. So as a man thinketh, great book. The book I'm currently on my stool Mine is the master, is the collection of the entire work of James Allen. I think it's about what,
Hmm.
19 books or so. It's a very big book. I don't advise, if you're not a reader like myself who was obsessed with books, don't go for it. Go for As a Man Thinker because it's like a small book. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
founder podcast,
Yeah.
any specific that you like?
Yeah. So Founders Podcast, I have found Ogilvy's episode. So the diary of an advertising man. You just Google Founders Podcast, Ogilvy. I think it did 2 or 3 sessions on him. Please read that,
Okay.
listen to that. Then also Christopher Nolan's, George Lucas. Then I think I also like to the episode on Christian Dior as well. Yeah.
Cool. Have you listened to those? There's one is basically how they build it or how it was built, something like
Well,
that,
yeah.
where they talk about any one of the company, and then they talk about the history, they talk about the founder and how they build it.
Mhm.
I think it's called How They Built It.
Yeah, I haven't.
Good.
Yeah. I have a couple of podcasts I listen to. Like I said, How to Take Over the World. That's also really good. My First Million is
Mhm.
good. Don't listen to much of them these days because I am just binge on. So I think most days I start the days with listening to The Game by Alex Hormozy. Yeah. The Game. Then I wrap up the day listening to the Founders Podcast. Any episode at all. Yeah, the Final Podcast. I think the last one I listened to was the one on Jay-Z, his autobiography, Decoded. It was really good. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, this was a fun episode. Let's get into the last three questions.
Okay.
We'll start with this. Is there any question that I did not ask but you want to answer?
No, I think you asked really great questions, and yeah, I think all is all covered. Yeah, no questions at all that I want to answer that you need to
Any
ask.
question for me? Do you have any question for me?
Oh, okay. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book is this one. One second.
Yeah, sure.
It's by Warren Gresham
Okay.
and the best damn sales book. It's
Oh,
called.
that's a very ambitious title.
But it's all about goal setting, right? It's
Okay.
a sales book, but he break down how you can set a big goal and break into pieces and 16 steps to do it. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
I just added it to my Amazon cart. It's definitely,
Uh-huh.
yeah. It's so
Yeah.
a book I want to get is called Slow Productivity by Cal Newport. So definitely going to get those two and see how that goes. Thank you for the
Okay.
recommendation.
You're most welcome. Okay. All right. So once again, thank you so much for this episode. My last question for you, your message to the audience.
Yeah. So messages. I'll start by saying that everything you want is on the other side of your mediocrity. I don't see mediocrity as like a bad word. Is that at a certain point we all have to transition from being mediocre to experts. So the life you want, the job you want, or whatever, you have to move to the other side of mediocrity, which is you putting in the work, being realistic, pushing yourself to be better. Because whatever you want wants you to be better for them, for those things to come to you. All right. And to do all of that, to get better and all everything, I do it in 3 steps, right? So you gotta do stuff first of all. You do stuff. You learn to write by writing, right? Like you learn to code by coding. So you do stuff, you talk about them, and then you do bigger stuff. Then you just repeat. Right. But make sure you spend time doing number one. It only makes number two have weight. If not, number two is no, it's just gonna be like everybody else because you've not spent time doing enough of number one, which is to do stuff, do interesting stuff and talk about it. Then go do more interesting stuff, have much more to talk about. Yeah.
That was amazing. I will use that. I will definitely use that. My biggest problem, Kelvin?
Well,
I'm extremely good at my 9 to 5 job.
oh
Like,
wow.
people talk really high about what I do there.
Mm,
But when it comes to my side hustles, where I have had an agency, 3 people were working for me, or I've done many other things, and now for last 2 3 years, I'm trying to build this side hustle like coaching business. I do feel like I do a mediocre job there,
mm,
but I'm really good at my 9 to 5 job. So I tell myself, because of the timing, because of the side thing, I let myself be an average person and allow myself to take more and more time. But I feel like what you just said has inspired me to actually go to the next step.
yeah, my pleasure. I'm glad. Rooting for you on your other side hustles. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelvin. This was an amazing episode. I know you for last 12 months, but I learned so much more in just last 1 hour than I did before.
Yeah.
And the best thing that I like about you is your focus, your ability to avoid distraction, your ability to stay on your course and the drive that you have for yourself.
Th-
Amazing.
Thank you. This was amazing. I really love doing this with you. Thank you so much, Vinod. Thank you so much.